Okay, so to continue our coverage over the Dawn of X era of X-Men comics, we actually pick up with Excalibur number 7. Now, with that being said, we actually pick up with the Excalibur team right now bearing the Sword of Might. Now, remember, when it comes to a character being selected to possibly become the Captain Britain, they have two options to pick from: the Sword of Might or the Amulet of Right. Now, if you want to become Captain Britain, you must select the Amulet of Right. Now, the reason why they're bearing the Sword of Might is because with Betty Braddock being Captain Britain and Brian Braddock no longer being Captain Britain, but when he was being mind controlled by Morgan Le Fay, it messed up his mind so bad that when he was offered the chance once again to become Captain Britain, but he had to select the correct item, which is the Amulet of the Right, he selected the Sword of Might because his mind is so messed up and he feels like he's so evil. And so he had asked Betty and the Excalibur team to bury the Sword of Might to keep it away from him. But did we see Betty Braddock actually go over to Otherworld? Now, when she arrives, she's basically confronted by Apocalypse, Exodus, but also her brother, Jamie Braddock. Now, when it comes to Jamie Braddock, she is very worried because with Otherworld being free from Morgan Le Fay control, they need a new king or queen. And Apocalypse put Jamie Braddock as the new king of Otherworld, which is very concerning. And the reason why, because to Betty, her brother Jamie is pure evil, which he is. On top of that, he is a very powerful mutant. But you do have Betty Braddock ignore that and go downstairs to talk to Apocalypse because she still does not trust Apocalypse. He was hiding a lot of secrets when it came to Rogue in our last couple videos. But either way though, this is Psylocke asking Apocalypse what is he up to? And he tells Psylocke that right now he's trying to build some kind of homing beacon as a way to be used in the multiverse or any kind of dimension. The problem is though, he needs some kind of creatures to begin the process of making that. And these creatures are werewolves. And werewolves first appeared back in the only 80s or 90s of X-Men comics. I could be wrong. But either way, they're from the Mojoverse. And so right now, these creatures are actually being held in a zoo in Great Britain. And so now this is Apocalypse telling Psylocke that she needs to call in her team and go get the heads of these werewolves or werewolves and bring them back over to Apocalypse. And so then we pick up with Betty Braddock and Jubilee actually going over to the zoo that would be holding the werewolves. Now, they also do bring MI13, and MI13 is basically a Great Britain government agent. And right now, he's just making sure that the new Captain Britain does not cause any more problems for Great Britain. Now, with that being said, when they do arrive at the zoo, you do have the lady who works at the zoo tell everyone that apparently the museum or zoo has sold the werewolves away. Not werewolves, werewolves. But they got sold away. And the question is now, who in the right mind bought those creatures? Now, we do see Betty Braddock and MI13 actually go to a bar. And the reason why, because they're going to run into Colin Bloodstone. Now, Colin Bloodstone is an old character. Not old, but he first appeared back in 2012. But he's part of the Bloodstone family, a monster hunter family. Now, with that being said, he was the one who bought the werewolves because right now in his backyard, he is holding a big hunting competition, which of course is the werewolves, to see who can kill all of them or who can kill the most. And so right now, he's inviting the Excalibur team to join his hunting game that he is holding in his backyard to see who can kill the most werewolves before the other. And so with that being said, it's kind of like, will Betty Braddock accept this challenge? And so we do see Betty Braddock actually accept the offer. Now, once she does, we jump over to the backyard of Colin Bloodstone, where the competition will be held at. Now, with that being said, you do have both sides getting ready. And we do see that Betty Braddock brought the entire Excalibur team, which is huge. And the reason why I say that is because once the competition begins, you do have Colin Bloodstone run out there, but he's not going to use his powers, quotation marks, because he wants to hunt down these creatures normally. But when it comes to Excalibur, they're kind of like, okay, for us to win and get the heads for Apocalypse, let's go ahead and use our powers to kill these creatures, get their heads, and bring them back over to Apocalypse. And so you have Rogue, Gambit, Jubilee, Richter, and even Betty Braddock use their powers to kill off the different creatures in this backyard. Now, for Colin Bloodstone, he's very angry because he's kind of like, they're not hunting like me. They're hunting just like regular mutants with powers, and that is not fair. And so right off the bat, you can tell he's angry, and then he says, okay, you know what? I am no longer going to hunt down the werewolves. Now my main goal is to hunt down mutants. And so now he's going to use his inner monster that he has inside his body as a way to attack the Excalibur team to get payback for what they have done. But then we jump over to Excalibur number 8, where the opening page of this book is the fight going on between Excalibur and Colin Bloodstone. Now, I do want to mention one thing. This fight does not last that long. What I mean is that once you have each side kind of get a hit in, you do have Betty Braddock say, we are going to stop fighting and we are going to talk like civilized people. That means, Colin, I'll tell Richter to let you go, but let us go inside and have a peaceful conversation with one another, rather than you and I and my team fighting against each other. Because this is ridiculous that you're mad over a game of hunting. It is honestly ridiculous. And so you have everyone actually go inside. And so that is the moment you basically have Colin Bloodstone tell everyone why he was upset over dinner. Now, honestly, this is very weird because I feel like if you had these rules set in mind, why did you not tell the mutants Excalibur team before the competition had begun? Because while they're having this dinner, drinking wine, eating food, you have Colin Bloodstone go on with this powerful speech, how hunting should be normal, no power should be involved. And really no parasite either, because he does have a parasite that gives him his hidden monster body he has. But either way though, you do have Colin Bloodstone say that both sides should not use their powers. This hunting competition should be just regular, normal hunting. Now, of course, we know why he did this, because he was losing. There's more of them and their powers are better than his powers. And so it's him trying to even out the playing field. Now, after the dinner, you do have everyone basically go to bed except Richter. Now remember, when it comes to Richter, he has the ability to control seismic waves, but right now he can't sleep. And so with him being unable to sleep, he does go outside to get some fresh air to walk around. Now, while he is walking around, he does overhear a conversation. It's a conversation that Colin Bloodstone is having on his phone at the moment. And apparently he's calling out for some help. And he's telling someone that he was able to get the entire team of Excalibur here to his house. And so he says if something happens to him, of course it's their fault. But he is asking for some help. Now, he does see Richter, and so he hangs up the phone call and he confronts Richter. Now, this is where things get very, very interesting. Because you do have Colin Bloodstone tell Richter that he doesn't find mutants scary. Like, he doesn't hate them. It's just that with them now being in charge of the world, or being in charge of a lot of different things across the world, that is what scares them. Because now they're on top of the world. Now, you do have Colin Bloodstone basically tell Richter that he is gay. Now, this is honestly kind of important for the next part. And the reason why, because you have Cullen Bloodstone kiss Richter. And it's kind of like Richter knows you're plotting something, but then y'all just kiss, which means Richter is going to be somewhat going back and forth on what he should do. Tell his team or possibly catch some feelings for Cullen Bloodstone. Now, you do have Richter run over to Betty Braddock to tell her what he just learned, how he thinks that Cullen Bloodstone could possibly be working for Coven COPPA, because remember, that is the bad guys of this series right here. And so it's Richter telling Betty, listen, I think that this dude is part of that coven, and that right there is very huge. We need to go ahead, get everyone out of here right now, because it feels like Cullen Bloodstone could be possibly setting us up for something down the road that could have more people hating us right now in Britain. Now for Betty, she can tell that Cullen Bloodstone and Richter has kissed, and so it's Betty saying, well, are you kind of nervous and acting like this because you guys kiss, or you actually have some hardcore proof? And for Richter, he doesn't have proof, but this is Richter saying, listen, you can't be so naive. This man has been acting weird the whole time since we've been here. And honestly, I feel like it is only going to get weird. That now this man wants us to hunt down some creatures without our powers. We are going to die. And so this is Betty kind of like, okay, you're right. We need to be very, very careful. And so you do have Betty wake up the rest of the Excalibur team. And when she does that, she tells them what is going on. And so they continue to hunt down the werewolves in the backyard of Cullen Bloodstone. Now they're hoping to do this without him noticing so that they can get the heads and just leave and go back to Apocalypse. The big problem though is Cullen Bloodstone was in the kitchen making a drink. And so he looked out his window and he sees all their powers being used right now in this competition. And he's kind of like, these mutants, they promised that they would not use their powers. And here they are. They're using their powers. Plus, it's not time to hunt. What in the world is going on? And so, of course, he is going to go out there and attack them once again. Now, this fight doesn't last that long once again. Like, honestly, for Cullen Bloodstone, for him to try to attack a whole team of mutants, you would think that Marvel would give him some kind of fight scene where it looks like maybe he couldn't handle his own, but in reality he can't. He was easily overpowered just by one member, Rogue. Now once he is knocked out, you do have the Excalibur team realize that they have all 5 heads of the werewolves. Now they can go back to Apocalypse, but that is the moment you have Gambit see something, and then you have everyone surround Gambit to see what did he see, and that is the moment we kind of find out there's something very special on the ground that Jubilee says, we can't kill that. And you're wondering like, what in the world are they even talking about? And so you do have Betty Braddock actually go back to Apocalypse. And that is the moment we come to find out what the Excalibur team saw. It was a baby werewolf, werewolf. Now with that being said, you do have Apocalypse mention that he did only ask for 5 heads of werewolves, which you had the Excalibur team do. But at the same time, he wants to wipe out the entire race of the werewolves. And so he's kind of like, we gotta kill the baby. But then you have Betty kind of like, we're not going to kill a baby at all. That's really messed up. What in the world is wrong with you? And then you have Apocalypse kind of like, okay, fine. We won't kill the baby, but for some reason this baby is changing me and actually making me like it more. It's weird. But then to wrap up this video, we do see Betty Braddock take the baby werewolf over to Rachel Summer, the daughter of Scott Summers and Jean Grey from an alternate timeline. Now with that being said, it's basically Betty giving her the kid because Rachel Summers used to be part of the Excalibur team, and she fought against the werewolves in the past, but now she's not fighting one, she's going to raise one. But this is also Marvel saying, hey, Wolverine was just one new book. We're also getting another new book that Rachel Summers will be part of, and that new team is called X Factor. And of course, we'll cover that down the road. But with that being said, I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And if you do, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.